Let me know when you want to start. Okay, so I'm Dan Moeller with Allied Healthcare Products. We're going to do a operational instruction today. This is not a service instruction. This is only about operation and maintenance. For any further in details about rebuilding compressors and getting in depth about troubleshooting and repair, you need to go to a class. I'm highly recommending that. Take a 60/40, take a class on actually working on the equipment and manufacturing. All right, this is operational only. Right? So I always start my videos with that so that people understand there's other things to this besides just the operation of the unit. Okay, so over here we have the lab air compressor. It's a duplex system. What you'll notice here is you have two scroll air compressor units. One of the discussions that came up, and I'll get to this first, was about this is your air intake right here. Okay, we'll just talk about this real quick. This is an air intake, and they were talking about putting another filter on this, but the reality is this is the intake filter right here. Okay, this box right here, this one and the other one, they have, actually I think this has two on it. Each one has two intake filters on it. All right, for the intakes of the scrolls. All right. So another filter is not needed for this unit. So I just want to make that clear, because that discussion had come up previously. So they could just pipe this, because it's lab air. Technically, they could pipe it outside, turn it and screen it. Or they could actually pull the air in from this room. It's not going to matter much. If it was medical, you'd have to run it outside. It's lab. So just looking at these units, these are belt driven. Again, annual maintenance on this would be changing the belts. Okay, these are scroll air compressors. All right, they work. The way they operate is one pump runs. After it completes its cycle, the other pump takes over. So they go back and forth. They rotate primary. It's lead and lag, so to speak. All right. After coolers on it, safety valves. At about 20,000 hours, you would open this up, and you would change the cup seals or seals in there inside the scroll units. Okay. Again, that's a separate whole maintenance thing that I would recommend. If you don't know how to do it, you have a manufacturer, get good service, the company qualified to do that. All right. A couple items here. These are moisture relief drains. They're float drains. They're automatic. Okay. These valves stay open unless you're going to be servicing the unit and you want to make sure it's completely shut down. You shut these valves. Okay. This is the manifold for the external.
That valve should be open, right?
Yeah, this should be open. So if you look here, these compressors then feed this pipe. All right, this intake of the air. All right. This is the crossover through a bypass valve. All right. This valve here, you bring your air into the bottom of the tank, so hopefully any moisture that gets in there accumulates. First of all, the idea is that the moisture kind of gets trapped here and dried out first. You capture the moisture through the radiator, then it cools it a little bit, and then it comes through. You go into here, you come out at the top. You'll notice this valve isolates, right? So if you had to just run the compressors on the line, you could isolate the tank if you had an issue, change the tank, or had to seriously drain the tank or there's some contamination, which I would foresee. But moving forward, another drain valve here. This stays closed. This is again for if you want to manually come through. And I tell people, it's got auto drains on it, but once a day you should be looking at the equipment. Okay, coming down here and seeing what's going on as far as to make sure nothing's having an issue. All right. Maintenance on the motors. I believe those are sealed. I don't think they have grease fittings on them. Depends on which ones they use. No, these don't have grease points on them, so these are sealed motors. Those are sealed motors. No greasing required. This here is an auto drain. All right. Again, these are timed. You can adjust the times on these drains. Okay. You can adjust the timers on these. Usually, you set them for every 10 minutes. It'll go off and blow off for a couple seconds just to keep the moisture out. Right? system. That's another idea. All right. These feed lines feed the gauge, feed the temperature sensor or the pressure sensor inside the cabinet, and then another one that's feeding the drain. All right. The idea is to try to extract as much moisture as you can before it gets to the dryer system. All right.
Then in your daily rounds, you can just open this up and do
Yeah, just give it a blast.
Daily
yeah,
round.
yeah, just give it a blast and just that's what I tell people to do for the most part. There's the good thing about this system is there's not a huge amount of maintenance. Okay, there's not like you got to do this and this and this and all this kind of thing. You just kind of keep an eye on it. Change those filters, those intake filters. I always change them manually. All right, when I was doing service work. To give you a little bit of background, I used to work on this stuff for like 30 years. So before I got into the sales and new things, but I still do a little bit of here and there. Like I do the startup myself because I just like to do that. So, annual inspection on those. There is in the book, it'll tell you like 500 hours. You know what I'm saying? So the manual, I got to send you the PDF manuals. We're getting those, but the service manual, the manuals are inside the cabinet here. At least they were anyway. When I was last here. Okay. So moving around the unit, we'll fire this up in a minute. So keep quiet here for a second. These are called, look at the dryers now, right? Well, first thing you'll notice, this is an HMI control. All right, so it's a hand interface, human interface, touch screen control. All right. 2 circuit breaker disconnects. Okay, and then the handoff goes for each unit. Now, what happens here normally is these stay in auto. These always stay in automatic mode. All right, when you're in operation, the system will just as it needs air, it's gonna fill up and then shut off. I think this one was set at 120 psi. I thought it set at 100. Perfect timing, right? All right, so I'll talk louder. So, moving from we'll fire this up in a second. Moving to the dryer system now. Okay, this is a desk and dryer system. All right. What you've got is 2 sets of dryers. Okay, by labs, by code, you've got 2 sets of dryers. Right? So you've got this is one set. This is the other set. Okay, each one has inlet and outlet filters. Okay, these are your regulators to regulate the pressure. You can pipe that dryer to this regulator or this regulator and that dryer. I try to keep them all the same size. It makes life a lot, simpler for everybody. Right now we're on this left side. There is a piece that we have to get tonight that the straight this guy here, the muffler. The muffler's out of the system. Somebody saw it. Yeah, we got to get another muffler for it. Well, so here's a book that somebody left. There, you can look at this thing a little bit. It should be in the control panel. I'm not sure why it's laying there. Okay, so talking about that's your dryer system, right? This says activate aluminum in the towers. Okay. The way it works is the dryer system is controlled. This is a timer unit for it, but it's also controlled by the computer, the PLC. So it's looking at the dew point level. So when the dew point level gets down low enough, it's going to stop the cycling of the dryers. So you'll see both of these gauges will go up to whatever the set point is. Okay. This unit here is your dew point sensor. Okay. The lab airs don't come with a CO sensor. There's no carbon monoxide sensor on the lab air. Okay. The medical will have a CO. We only have this. These valves here are. This one here is your sensor port. Sensor port valve, another port valve. One of these would have picked up the CO monitor if they had the CO sensor mounted on there. Okay. The part numbers on the filters, again, annual replacement of the filters. They go by hours, but I always did them annually because it's just easier that way. These are called Rexroth valves. These are the switching valves. They're made by Parker. That's what switches the dryer towers. Okay? So when you have one dryer in activation, one tower is in activation, right, the other tower has bleed air going backwards through to drive that activated aluminum out. Okay? So that's what that does. Again, these control boxes, these switches on the side always stay to on, and then you control what you're doing. Yeah, with the HMI. So, let's see. Again, you've got the valving. You can see how you can isolate everything back and forth. Okay? What you don't want to obviously do is let everything close and fire the compressor and your safety valve start going off. You know, so. I don't know where they want to set. These are set at 55. The line pressure safety regulator is normally at 75. 55.
They need to go higher.
You have to change it.
But I don't know what they're going to be doing that will require a lot higher pressure.
Because in my opinion, if you're just up there, I think it's all for simulation. If that's the case, I'm not totally sure, but if it's all for simulation or whatever, then you don't want to have a lot of high pressure. You don't want someone, you know, having 100 psi at their disposal and, you know, having a problem. You know what I'm saying? That's my opinion, of course. What they did here was this dryer required two inputs for one for the control, which goes to a relay, but then another power input, which is this. Excuse me. I don't know if this line is on. This is a separate line, and what I don't see is lights in that cabinet. So I'm wondering if there's power here. I don't have a heater with me, but so I don't know. Should we find out? They may have shut the breaker off to this.
Yeah, fine, it's set, right?